Alright, let's have a look, see if I can get this working correctly. Just give me a second while I make sure everything's working right, and then we're in business. And we have another day of working on the roper. Nya-da-da-da-dee, nya-da, nya-da-da-da-dee. Right, well, that seems to be working good, and just get all my bits and pieces together. So we're going to start in a few minutes, well actually probably less than a minute. I'm going to start very, very shortly. Give people time to jump into the room. How's it going, Joseph? Nice to see you. I realized that when I put this video up I said 3 o'clock and then I changed it to 12 New Zealand Standard Time, and that was a product of changes in my schedule, which I've discovered I didn't need to make in the first place, but it's too late. So we're gonna go with this. And it's a really horrible wet day where I am, so the chances are I am probably going to run 2 live streams, so you can jump in and out whenever you like. Essentially I'm going to try to push on through and get as much of this roper done as possible, even if I break it up into 2 separate streams, so I can go have a break and use the toilet, have some food, stuff like that. But I would say we'll go for about an hour, and then that'll be enough, and then I'll come back a little bit later if I haven't finished the job. But yeah, welcome everybody who's here, and it's good to see you back, Joseph. It's great. La da 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 da. Okay. Right, so we should be ready to go. I think we are. That definitely feels like it's 12 o'clock. And we're going to start. Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I'm here to make a miniature. We're going to make a cheap D&D miniature, the roper. We've been working on it for a couple of hours now, and today we're going to have a go at putting the putty over the wire tentacles or tendrils, and we're trying to duplicate this. The only difference is I've added 2 more tentacles or tendrils, so there's 6 rather than 4, which may be a mistake, but I will only find out by trying. So that is the intention for today. I'm going to be using these Citadel sculpting tools. All of the materials and tools that I'm using for today are down in the description if you want to know what they are. So I've got my sculpting tools ready to go. I'm going to be using milliput because it's cheap. I do have green stuff, but I'm going to try to avoid using the green stuff unless I have no other choice. And I have my little Stanley classic knife for cutting. It's a nice heavy duty blade, and my Stanley long nose pliers for moving the wire around if I find it's a problem. What I have discovered is from the last stream that the putty has helped secure the wire tentacles in place quite nicely, and as you can see I've tried to zoom it in so you get a nice close view of what I'm doing. Please let me know though if I take it out of shot. I am really happy while I'm doing this to talk about anything to do with Dungeons and Dragons. You know, otherwise it's going to be a very boring stream. I was watching, what was it, Dragon Talk today, and they were talking about Mordekainen's Tome of Foes. And I know that's going to be that's the new book coming out. I've done a little bit of an announcement video, and sigil was definitely discussed. So if you were wondering, since they hadn't necessarily said that it was going to be there, it's going to be there. Today Chris Perkins was definitely talking about sigil. So if you wanted to know that, you've heard it now. Or you can go and watch the Twitch replay. So I'm going to mix up equal parts of this milliput. I'm going to not make the mistake I did yesterday by mixing up too much, otherwise it's all going to go real hard, real fast. And we're going to mix that, and then once we've done it, we're going to turn it into little sausages, flatten them out, and then apply it to our wire tentacles. For those of you who are wondering why I'm not playing music in the background, it's because it would be royalty-free music, which isn't very good. So if you're not really sort of listening to me, and you're just watching what I'm doing while you're doing some of your own crafting or working or whatever it is, I don't know where you are right now, then you know, play your own music. If you have to talk on a phone, then you've got me running in the background, that's fine too. So I'm just trying to make equal sized balls so that I mix this at the right consistency. There we go. Alright, and we just grab that and mash together. This is the day I was supposed to go and chop down some trees with my chainsaw. Well, actually somebody else's chainsaw, but that was the plan. But it's pouring with rain, and actually it's quite nice. It's a lot colder. It's not quite as warm now. So that's why I'm here as early as I am, and a few other things sort of contributed to that. Otherwise I would have been running the stream about 3 hours from now. But that's not happening today. So I was looking through Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which I have I've had a copy for a little while now. Mine actually was really hard to get. I got given a copy by John Shackle, and then I got given a copy by my partner. So I've given away the copy that John Shackle gave me, and I've kept the partner copy. But yes, I've been looking through, and I think that it's covered quite a nice selection of different things that needed to be talked about. I still think that the section on tool proficiencies is probably the biggest highlight for me as a dungeon master. If you're a player, I mean, the addition of some of the other paths, such as the barbarian paths, I think that's all going to be quite a lot of fun for players. I still think that Xanathar's Guide to Everything is more of a player's book than a dungeon master's book, but that's just my view. Anyway, I've been working today on my Facebook group for How to D&D, so that you guys have got somewhere to download files that I might create, and it's coming up with the group rules. I've had to do group rules for Facebook groups before, but it's been a bit of a mission, I actually have to say. It's been a little bit complicated, more complicated than I would have liked, but I'm getting there. So for those of you who are hoping to see a place where you could see images and get files and chat with me off YouTube, I am working on it. It's coming along, and I'm probably going to upload a photo for it, which should hopefully be the last step in the Facebook creation process. I'll probably do that on the weekend. That'll be New Zealand Standard Time, so it's almost a week away, but it's getting closer. So yeah, for anybody who was wanting to get hold of files and images that I might have, then it is coming. Okay, alright, so I think I'm going to try to aim for the easier one to start with, and that is just too long, so I'm just going to break that off. As I've said before, trying to put putty over a piece of wire is one of the hardest things to do, and because there's so many bits of wire, it's going to be even more difficult. but we are going to persevere, and it's going to work out in the end. I can build up the thickness on my tentacles, so don't worry about that. I'm just sorry if my hands are in the way. So the camera is sort of exactly where I need to be. I'll just use my other finger. That'll be a better bit. There we go. Now you can see now. So you're trying to get rid of all the little air pockets that are going to sit around the wire and the putty, and just squeeze it into place. And then we'll just grab our little tool and I'll blend that in. It's much easier when there's something to blend into now that I've got some putty on it. But yeah, back to this Facebook group that I've been working on for ages. I'm going to upload the index for the Princes of, I'm going to upload the index for the Princes of the Apocalypse. I'm going to upload the PDF of the blank battle mat that I created quite a long time ago, almost 2 years ago now. And because I realize that a lot of people can't access it because it's really hard to find on some of these larger Facebook groups. So it'll be there. I'm also going to upload some of the images that I have, sort of like, you know, games that I've played or people I've played with. Obviously I'll be asking for their permission, but it will be hopefully an opportunity for you guys to get a little bit more information about what I'm up to. And I will also run some Facebook video, so you'll get some Facebook video as well, probably sort of, you know, behind the scenes sort of stuff, really short, like 30 seconds or 1 minute or something like that. Very, very fast. Anyway, alright, let's see if I can get the round tool on here. Where is it? Just pressing that in there is the hardest bit. There we go. Not too bad, working alright. And for those of you who are less interested in my live streams and more interested in the pre-recorded stuff, I have finished editing one of the Wizards guides for the basic guide, the first one that I did. It's been edited, so there's an edited version that will be coming out fairly shortly because it's been uploaded. I just need to do all the tagging and so forth, and that'll come out. I've been working on the Player's Handbook review that I did ages ago and just hadn't had time to edit because editing takes so much time, but it's in the works. It's about 2/3 done now, and I've just got another little bit to do, and then I'll upload that and you'll have access to that if you want it. Although I realise that the Player's Handbook has been out for a very long time, so there are plenty of reviews out there that aren't mine. So it's not like it's a huge loss if you don't get to watch it, right? But that'll come out. I've also been working on sort of a play Dungeons and Dragons videos. So I've got two. One is kind of like it looks a little bit like an advertisement, but it's not. It's supposed to be sort of to hopefully encourage people to play the game. And I've got another one that's about Dungeons and Dragons encounters, and I've selected a store that's close by me, well, as close as they can be. I don't live in the city, so I talked to the owner, and I've got a video that will hopefully come out in the near future on the Dungeons and Dragons encounter program, because it's a good program for getting people involved in the game, and I would like to see people able to access that. For those of you who enjoy the phone app videos that I do reviews on them from time to time. I've got one coming out from Dirty Little Goblins. It's been a long time coming, and it should have come out sooner. And And the only reason it didn't come out sooner is I was doing 2 reviews on 2 different phone apps, and I believe the creator of one of the phone apps, his response to me, or their response to me, was quite cutting. And so I decided that I would release their video and do it first over the other person, who actually has a better phone app in my opinion. Which I know sounds strange, but it was more about, I just felt like your phone app has got problems and your response to me has been appalling. Hence, I will make sure everybody knows about your phone app over everybody else. And yeah, I guess that was more in a way of warning them about what they were getting themselves into. Not necessarily the best way to do things, but I did feel like it's, you know, if your phone apps are one of those things where you don't necessarily have to pay for them. Sometimes there's a free version, sometimes there isn't, and I just don't like the idea of somebody making a product saying there's a free version and actually making it totally unusable as a free version, because they really just want you to shift to the paid version. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Let us get this coated. 6 arms, 6 tentacles, a lot of tentacles to cover. Okay, all right, let's just bring that round. There we go. All right. Remember, we can come back and add more putty to these. We do not need to worry about having it absolutely perfect the first time round. If you feel like it's just not quite enough, it's like anything, you can come back and do more later. And I got some good news. Apparently they've moved the time frame up for my area, and I'm going to be getting fibre in my area in the next about 4 months. So right now I'm running off VDSL. VDSL is better than ADSL, but it's not as good as fibre. If I had fibre, then I could probably stream off Twitch TV and YouTube at the same time, which I think is a big plus, particularly with all the changes that are taking place, trying to sort of move onto 2 different platforms so that people have a choice. So yeah, maybe in 4 months time you'll see me live streaming on Twitch TV and on Facebook live at the same time, and possibly YouTube as well. That'll be cool. I thought that would be just awesome. I just need a decent upload speed. Right now I've just got enough to make it work, and I would like to be able to get it to a higher level than it currently is. Okay, alright, there we go, and we just keep layering it until we get to the end of this thing. Oh, it's so difficult. Such a tricky thing to do. I'm going to have to pull that down a little bit. Sorry, if I wind up having to move out of the shot just a little bit just to get at things, you'll have to excuse me. It's just I need to get it on. Okay. Here we go. And I'm really liking this little plastic tool. I wasn't a big fan of it to start off with, but now it's certainly made life a little bit easier. Just to sort of, you know, mesh things in a little bit. Let's move that out of the way. As you can see, it's just small touches, and it's working fine. All right, another sausage. Okay, I'm going to pop the door open to this office because it's starting to heat up now, and so I'm not stepping away for long. Just bear with me. Oh. Yeah, that's better. And sausage, and then flatten it out with the fingers. And we'll break it in half because it's easy to manage. Let's see if I can attach it from underneath. Yeah, that worked well. Ha! Try that again. And then fold over the top. Come on, you. Just doesn't want to do it. Just blend in. Fold over there. So yeah, if you're in the chat and you can hear me, if you want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, you know, you're a new player or an old player, or you want to ask a few questions, certainly, you know, I'm happy to do that while I'm doing this. It's fiddly, but it's not going to take up all of my brain power. There we go. Just mesh that round. It's just about getting the putty onto the wire rather than anything else. We don't have to worry about anything else, just getting it on. Now, for those of you who don't want to use putty and you feel like that's going to be just too expensive, you could probably do the same thing with a glue gun. Hot glue gun, and just coat the wire with hot glue. It's just going to be a little bit, it won't be quite as easy to control, probably won't look quite as good because you'll have glue in some places you don't want it to be in, but you could do it that way if you wanted to. And just see if I can, the wire doesn't really stay still, so I'm trying to support it while I do this. There we go. And then just smooth it out along the top. And then obviously, like all things, the finger is the best thing for getting rid of marks. You just go back over with your finger. Just like that. Piece of cake. Easy peasies. Anybody can do it. And I believe somebody's already making a roper. I'm quite curious as to what was it Mel who was making a roper while I was doing one? Be interesting to see what his roper comes out like. Oh, there's Mel. How's it going? Mel, I ordered some of the milliput from Amazon. Yes, your affiliate link. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Mel. Can you talk about how it sets? Is it hard like plastic or more like clay? Okay, so it sets pretty hard. It sets more like clay. To give you an idea, what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll tap it on top. You can see it's pretty hard. It's a hard section. Okay, so it is clay, but think of a really hard surface clay. So it's not particularly porous, so it doesn't like sucking up moisture that much. So I would say it's more like the sculpting concrete that Weta Workshops uses, and I know that doesn't mean an awful lot to you, but it goes really, really hard, and it can break if it's thin enough. It won't flex that well, so it's less like plastic and more like clay when it goes hard, but it is cheap and it dries. It's better than just the normal air dry clay, simply because it's mixed in 2 parts. So yeah, that's basically it. That'll certainly give you a few more options. What have you been using lately, Mel, to make your monsters? I'm kind of curious. I know I've seen your videos that you send to me. What have you been using? Or is it a trade secret? See, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have a Facebook group, so that you guys could send stuff or post stuff, so that not just I was going to get to see it, everybody else would too. Images, video. It'll be good when that's all ready to go. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure the guys that are looking after the Dungeons and Dragons NZ Facebook group will manage without me. They seem to be so far. Now it's just a little wire just wants to move around too much. Do-do and do-do and do-do-do. Does that answer your question, Mel, in terms of the milliput? Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, I'm going to have to, if you can't quite see what I'm doing, it's because I'm having to hold the wire at the end and then just pat it down to get it on. So one of the things you'll notice when this goes hard, Mel, these tentacles, the wire is very flexible, but once the putty goes hard around it, they won't move around that much. They'll be pretty solid. So applying more putty to it is actually a lot easier. And simply because it will become rigid. That is also the problem. If you've got little things dangling off, it is possible to break them, because I've done it before. What's it now? The ethereal filcher and ocular swarm were air dry clay. The filcher has a wire inside for some strength, but I bet if I drop that swarm, I'll have BBs all over. Yeah. Well, look, I think you'll find that if you drop this stuff, it may survive, and I would love to be able to test it for you, but I don't think I will. I think it's definitely going to be stronger. It won't shatter quite as much as something like air dry clay. Certainly, I've found that if I've dropped things that have dried, they have survived. But there's always going to be a limit, you know. Something like these little delicate bits, they are likely to crack. Maybe not break off completely, but certainly they'll crack. Oi. This is definitely the least favourite part for me, is trying to attach putty or anything to little bits of wire. Not even remotely fun. And I've got 6 of the things to do. 6! Not 4. No, because I decided let's put 6 tendrils on this thing. Not like 2 or 4, but 6. Yeah, it's because I'm super bright and I wasn't really thinking about it clearly. What's that, Mel? Hot glue over wire seems to work well for tentacles and arms. Yeah, it can. I just find that, I mean, I've done it before, I just find that it doesn't give you a particularly great finish. You know, you wind up with, I did it with the oozes because it didn't really matter. You know, some strange little bits dangling off were all right, and that tends to happen when you use a hot glue. But for something like this, where I feel like it needs to be a bit more uniform, the tentacles, yeah, I'm probably not going to do it that way. But you could try and do it. Certainly it might be a bit quicker and probably cheaper. Hot glue's always going to be cheaper than using any kind of air dry anything. And there we go. All right. Cool. Coming along. Still think I'm going to have to work a lot faster. There's a lot of putty there to work with. This weather is just so warm. I think what I'll try to do is tackle a section that's a lot straighter so I get the putty on real fast. The curves are, I've got to break it up into small pieces, so we're going to tackle the side tentacle here and see if I can't get heaps more on nice and fast. There we go. Just wangle that round a bit. Sorry if you can't see, it's just really hard to get at. Every time I try to sort of do it from a particular angle, I'm also trying to get it from underneath here. How did you manage, Mel, when you were attaching your dry clay to your wire for your tentacles on your roper? Because I know yours is a bit further ahead than mine. Did you use any particular technique? Pretty much what I'm doing now. Yo, come on you, get in there. Make it happen. Squeezy wheezies. Squeezy wheezies, truesy woozies. Come on, get on. It's always the fiddly bits that you can't get to that are the hardest to deal with, right? Just the underneath of that is the worst bit to get at. It's just so tricky. Come on you, get in there. Come on little doggy, go. Alright, it's so close. Okay. Well, there's a bit of space there, and I can fill that with something. I'll just put a ball of something in there. Okay. Alright. Alright, we're dealing with it. It's happening. Trying to get all the little air pockets and bubbles out of this bit is proving to be a bit on the difficult side. Just keep squeezing all the little bubbles out until it seems like it's done. Alright, give me a ball of this. I'm going to patch that. Oh, there's a little patch I could do there, right. Shook. Just saw you now. Didn't realise that was there. We'll just cover that. It's only later on when you start noticing little areas where the tinfoil is showing through, right? Either that or my eyes just aren't very good. And come on. There we go. Right. What's that, Mel? my roper was made from an existing stalagmite made out of paper towels and white glue. I drilled into that and used Gorilla Glue in the holes, then covered it with hot glue. Feels pretty secure. Oh, okay. All right. Did you have a lot of difficulty covering the tentacles with your hot glue? Or was it pretty easy? Did it come out pretty uniform, or is it sort of all over the place? I'm going to use the round tool in here. Where is it? Just see if I can't just flatten the underneath of that out. Yeah, not too bad. If I can just get my if I could get my finger in there, I could smooth out a lot of that, but I can't. I need little delicate, little fairy fingers. Fairy fingers are required. There we go, in there. Here's a question to anybody who's Dungeon Master. Do you allow people to use Mage Hand if they are proficient in Thieves' Tools, to use their Mage Hand to try to unlock a lock with your Thieves' Tools? What do you think? A yay or a nay? Alright, so using that, so now you've got to hear what, using the existing item made the process go extremely quick. I think it looks pretty smooth with the hot glue. Alright, well, there we go. For those of you who want to use hot glue rather than putty, Mel's tried it and it seems to work out alright. I'm just going to fill that little section there because I feel like it needs to be. And let's clean off the tool, get rid of that. Okay. So what are you currently working on, Mel? Are you working on anything or you're at work? I realise that my time frame, the time that I stream, where I am in the world is not conducive to people who are employed, who actually have to make money to live or have a job. So they've got money to, things to do. There we go, that's that. Right, let's just bust off all those little hairy bits. Grab some more putty, keep the process moving. So yeah, I'm going to stick with going with the easy bits rather than the harder bits. Just get the putty on as quick as I can. Just break that. Flatten it out, and from underneath the top, I think I'm just going to go from the top, and then just squidgy it on, and then join it up underneath, like so. Ha 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 da 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 dee lee lee dee. All right. I feel like it's mostly on. I just need to go back and tidy it, but I'm going to do another one and then just clean it all up. Do 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 do. Yeah. That is mostly on. Mostly. All these miniatures that I've been making I will eventually paint. That's the intention anyway. It's just while the humidity is so high and it's so hot, the paint just does not dry. But I can do the modelling. Okay. What's that, Mel? It's 6:30 p.m. here now, so work's done, dinner's done, kids' homework done. This is a great time for me to watch. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad it's working out for somebody. Oh, man. Alright, grab a drink of water. That's much better. For those of you who've only just jumped in, I am covering the tentacles of the roper. And I was looking last night at potential options for the next project, which I don't know when that'll happen, but it'll happen some point. And I was looking at the mimic, and I was looking at doing, I've got some ideas on how to do the door mimic and the treasure chest mimic, which I think I was going to try to just do it the way that Scotty or the Demon's Craft did, but I think I might do it slightly different, because there seems to be the fact that it's made out of cardboard, I feel like it's just not quite as strong. And I would like something that's a bit more durable, something that'll last me a lot longer. I'm trying to make stuff that you guys can use for as long as possible, rather than it be cardboard and disintegrate after a few uses. I mean, coating things with glue will help, but it's not necessarily going to be the only thing that's going to work. You know, it's only going to do so much. So yeah, I've got the plan for my door mimic and my treasure chest mimic. Although I think I'll do the door mimic first, and probably the treasure chest mimic after. And I still think I should definitely do some elementals, because they're good to have around. CR5, so you know, mid-range sort of creature. To lower end, so level 5 to 10, it's not such a bad creature to have, so it's not a bad option. And roll it, rolling into sausages, making sausages. Here we go, and then just flatten it out again. Here we go, come on. Just go on round. That's it. Stick in place. Squeeze and adjust. Squeeze and adjust. So what's that, Mel? So is the mimic. Trifecta next. Door mimic, chest mimic, and bed mimic. I think it'll be more. Well, you know what I've been doing. I'm tending to do things in a series. I still feel like I should do the black pudding. which would be a piece of cake. And that would finish up the oozes. But I think that I will probably do the mimics and the sequences too, So I don't know. I mean, it'll probably be the mimic next, because although the oozes are fun, they're also a little bit dull. Do you know what I mean? They're easy to do, but they are dull to do. They're not super exciting. I still feel like I could redo the grey ooze, because that video got absolutely trashed, messed up so badly by YouTube. I don't know if it's even remotely watchable now. Anyway. But yeah, definitely you're going to see a mimic, and probably the door mimic first. And I'm thinking more door, chest, and barrel, because I feel like a barrel mimic is going to be more useful to people. You know, you're more likely to come across a barrel. Although I think a bed mimic is an awesome idea as well. I just never used the one that I've got that often. You know, it's a good time to get people. It's just I hadn't thought of doing it. It's that sort of thing. It's the mimic who would have to wait and be a bit patient, wouldn't it? If you're going to make a mimic and use a mimic in your game that's a bed, you'd have to have a mimic who was willing to wait for them to go to sleep so that they could be eaten while they're unconscious, which is absolutely horrific and terrible to even contemplate. And as a dungeon master, you're probably not going to get any brownie points from your players for doing it, but it's a good time to do it, right? While they are sleeping in their bed. If there were toilets more often in Dungeons and Dragons games, we could have a toilet mimic as well. Years ago, I ran an adventure, which most of you probably know about, Keep on the Borderlands. And part of it had a tower, and there's no information in the adventure on the tower itself. As the dungeon master, you are expected to come up with that location, and I did. And so what I did is I made that tower a giant mimic, and I actually took it from the tower that you can access in the Monster Vault for Dungeons and Dragons 4E, and I used that, and the whole tower was a mimic, and inside the mimic were more mimics, and they were exploring it thinking, oh, it's a bit strange, there's nobody here, there's all this stuff, and suddenly they're dealing with a mimic, little mimic inside the tower. They don't even realize the tower is a mimic. Then they realize, actually, I think everything in here is mimics, because they're getting attached and attacked by pseudopods, and then as they're trying to escape, they realize that this whole tower is a mimic. So they tried to escape. I had them roll dexterity checks to try to leap through the doorway, as it had teeth and a big tongue. And I utilized a lot of the ideas for that particular story from Monster House, which is like a cartoon, an animated movie. I thought that was a really good story, and so I used a lot of elements from that for it. It worked out pretty well. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, a mimic that is a giant tower. Can't just make mimics though, got to make something else right. Gets a bit old after a while. But I can't remember who it was. I'm pretty sure it was Scotty from the DM's Craft, or was it DM Info. They made a tower out of, I think it was a Pringles container, and I was thinking really seriously about using their design and adding a mouth and eyes to it, and teeth, so that I could have a mimic that was a giant tower. Just because it seemed like it was a cool idea. Alright, well, that didn't go on. I'm all butterfingers now. Come here. Here we go. Go, go, squeeze, round, Alright, I'm getting there. It's just tricky. It's just tricky. It's just all of the air bubbles, all the little packets of air between the wire and the putty to try to squeeze away so that you don't have packets of air in your model. And I think, to be fair, I think what I'm going to do with this particular miniature is the ends of the tentacles I'll make quite fat in the end. They'll be fatter than the rest of the tentacle, just so that they don't break off. Just add a bit more strength to them. Because if it's going to break anywhere, it's probably going to be in the center, in the middle, or it's going to break at the end, right? So strengthening those areas would be the smart thing. And breaking off is probably going to be at the tip, and crack is probably going to form in the middle of the tentacle. There we go. Looking a lot better. And that works a lot better. If I put my finger behind it as I'm stroking it with my tool, that is helping to support it. That worked good. Okay, so that's 2 tentacles complete. I want to get at least 3 done before I need to go and use the toilet or anything like that. Man, it's very hot. Here we go, more water. So, where is a spot that I can get to easily? I feel like if I go for the easy spots, then I'll deal with all the hard bits later. Is that cheating? Yeah. I just think it's going to have to be how it is, actually. Alright, so if I can support that like that. Ugh. Come here. Come round. You realise I'm losing it, man, because I'm talking to my clay. It's just so fiddly. Super fiddly. Come on, you, get on there. And then wrap it round, come on, wrap around. There's a bit of glue there that's getting in the way. Okay, alright, so fingers now. I apologise if my fingers get in the way, I just need to get it, all the air bubbles out of it. Go. Get the shape of it, mash it in a little bit. And press it in. And press it in. I'm going to have to put a little bit more around there, I suspect, and I've created a little hole on the other side, which I'm probably going to have to fill later. Alright. That one didn't come out quite as well as I'd hoped. The good news is, my fingers have done most of, because I've been pressing it so much, I've done most of the ceiling. Just light touch, light touch, light touch, and blend. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to attach it to the main structure, and I'm going to come back to this because I'm going to have to, obviously. Okay, good. And a bit more putty. Oh, just starting to feel it go hard now. It is, I've got just a few more minutes before this putty is done. Done and dusted. Okay, so where can we stick it? It isn't going to be too much of a hassle for me. Let's go there. Alright, just pick it up and just get the fingers in there. It's I still can't get over the fact that I'm making this. If anybody had said, look, you're gonna make little monsters out of putty and wire, I still wouldn't have believed it. How's the weather starting to clear? Looks like the rain is starting to settle down a bit. Nice change. It's starting to heat up though. I wish if the rain comes back and the wind comes back, it'll be cooler. There we go. I've got to prep for my game on Wednesday. So tomorrow is the next game that I'll DM, and I'm running through an adventure which is all about a secret door, or a door that they were supposed to have trouble opening, and a set of scales, magic scales, which should be very interesting. We're almost near the end of it, and we'll roll into another adventure. The group are about level 3 now. I have been surprised just how pleased the players have been with the very short nature of some of these adventures that I've run. I really think it's been a huge improvement to make the arc for a story just a lot shorter and just put little adventures together. And I was a little bit worried that the table would sort of die off. It wouldn't get the interest, because I wasn't running one of those pre-made adventures. There's usually a lot of interest in the pre-made adventures because they are pre-made. No, the adventure. That's problem is it's in a cafe, bar, restaurant, so it won't be on Twitch TV. That'll be Friday. Tomorrow for me is Wednesday. That game it's just, you wouldn't be able to hear a thing, and I probably wouldn't be able to set it up as such because it is in a restaurant. It's hard enough to get people not to freak out when we start playing in a public location. But I can certainly keep you guys sort of up to date with it. I have been considering trying to run it in a private home, but it's a little bit tricky. You know, it's in the city. The people who are in that game, they are from all over, So it's got to work for everybody. You know, those people who've got cars have got less to hassle to deal with. Those people on public transport have got a lot more to deal with, and it would be nice to be able to run it in a public, out of a public location, go to a private location. Then I could put it on Twitch TV, and that would be a bit more interesting. Different sorts of players in that group. They're a little less rambunctious than the Friday group. The Friday group are kind of crazy buggers. Okay, let's see if I can blend that. I'll just going to use the back of my finger as support and press and turn. Press and turn. And I don't know if you can tell, but the putty is definitely harder to work with now because it is going hard. Gives me a good idea that I can't mix up too much, otherwise I'm not working fast enough to use it all up. And okay, that's that one done. That bit there is sorted. Alright, last little bit of putty, which is just about done. D&D yeah, hooligans, yeah, a little bit like that. I mean, to be fair, it's not like the people that I'm playing with on Friday are out of the ordinary. You know, one person is an editor for a magazine or a newsletter. Another one is a building consultant. Another is a librarian, or not a librarian actually, he's working in a museum, isn't he? I forgot about that. And somebody else just works in a cafe. So they're all, you know, reasonably normal people. It's not like they are hugely unusual or anything like that. It's just, I guess, you know, like anything, you get adults around and they've got to blow off steam, and so that's what tends to happen. I think if the group on Wednesday were not in public, they would probably get up to more mischief. But because they are in a very public location, it's less likely to happen. Just because of the very nature. Thank you, Joseph. I'm glad you like it. I feel like it is getting there. It's certainly coming out all right. Big improvement on what it was before. Just very time consuming doing the tentacles. And I just want to join this one here, but it's giving me trouble. Give me the round tool. There we go. Mash that and then clean it up with a finger. I used to run on the Wednesday. I used to run D&D encounters for Dungeons and Dragons Adventure League, and the game that I run on a Wednesday is leftover me deciding that I still wanted to do public games, but I just didn't want to deal with Adventure League, and I couldn't do it on a Wednesday at one point because of the type of work I was doing. So I shifted to a Tuesday, and then it's come to a situation where I've moved back to Wednesday, but there's just no space in the store. There's so many people playing Dungeons and Dragons Adventure League on the Wednesday that I run my game in a cafe or restaurant, which is why it's still in a public location. It's just not in the store, which is just like a couple of doors away from where we are. What's that, Aaron? Did you ever look at those pictures sent you? I think I did, and I'm pretty sure I did. I think I've looked at everything everybody sent me via email. Was I supposed to do anything else? I can't remember, and I apologise, Aaron, if it sounds like I don't remember what's going on. It's just I don't. But I'm sure I did look at something. Ah, castle walls made out of styrofoam. Yes, yeah, I remember that, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that you'll be able to put that up. Once I get the Facebook group sorted out, I'm hoping you'll be able to put that up on the Facebook group so people can see it. I really want to try to build a sort of a How to D&D community around the YouTube channel, but using Facebook, because it's where everybody is, really, isn't it? It was pretty awesome, by the way, Aaron. I thought it was great. I made a castle out of styrofoam years ago for the Dungeon Master who was running Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 for us, and it's awkward because once you've finished it, it's like, what do you do with it next? You know, it takes up so much space. Just another drink of water. Alright, so I'm going to mix up just a little bit more because I feel like I need to at least get 3 of these things done. What's that, Aaron? Working on a hunting lodge for Horde of the Dragon Queen, episode 7. Oh, really? Doing the hunting lodge? Good lord, that's quite a large location. Are you, is it going to be a tile setup, Aaron, or is it just going to be the outside structure, like papercraft? I remember running Horde of the Dragon Queen. Still haven't finished my my guide to that yet. I realise I need to, but every time I sort of look at it, it's like, there's a little bit of research to be done, and I need to get it right, and I'm still not really happy with how I managed. I put together Lost Mine of Fandelver. I really feel like I should have done it slightly differently, but at that time I didn't really have the tools or the know-how about how to do it the way I wanted to do it. So, all right, now what's that? Take a vid with your phone and post it on YouTube so we can all see the hunting lodge. I'm afraid of Zuckerberg spying on me with Facebook. Fair enough. What do you got here, Aaron? I cut out the floors, then added walls, so just the structure and the inside. All right. Well, it makes sense. You've got to be able to get at it. I think, as a general rule, I think the idea of just tiles or the interior rooms is a good idea. It's quite nice. I just don't make terrain, and I probably won't be making terrain because of the space issues. Whereas it's actually much easier if I go up and say, look, I've got this miniature that I made. Would you like to have it? To somebody who's getting into the hobby and needs miniatures. If I don't need them, it's easier to pass those things on than something that's terrain. People don't like picking up terrain so much. Aaron, what do you got here? I did, however, forget to cut out the doors of the walls. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm sure you can fix that. I'm sure that can be fixed. I'm sure you can just lie it down and just on each side and just cut through. Or just don't worry about it, you know. As long as the doors are there, they know. I mean, it just means the doors are closed. You just won't have opening and closing doors, which is not a big deal. Sure, it'll work fine. Won't be a problem. So you're just going to paint over them, Aaron? Oh, okay. Well, fair enough, yeah. Okay, let's get that putty on. I feel like that's going to have to go around that way a bit more. Okay, alright. And then blend and squeeze. Blend and squeeze. Tell you, the tentacles that are mostly straight, that don't have too many curves in them, are this one was so much easier. This one here, easy peasy. Other ones, hard, really difficult. What's it, Aaron? I'll put a mark and a different colour painting on the top of the wall as well to mark them. Okay, why not? Mel's got a good point though. Who needs doors? They are usually mimics anyway. Exactly. Well, they are if they're in my game. I've used mimic doors quite a few times. Palace of the Silver Princess. I believe that was an adventure I ran. It's kind of controversial if you run the original, and I stuck some door mimics in that one. And I think people were really confused. They were like, what do you mean it's got organs? Yeah, it's got organs. It's a door, right? Well, sort of. Okay. Squeeze that in place. Alright, Aaron, what you got here? I work in a jail and have been given permission to play D&D with the inmates in my psych ward module for therapeutic reasons. That's pretty cool, Aaron. I know there's been a lot of resistance to it. Certainly, I saw a few articles that were, people were really resistant to the idea. But it is about teamwork, isn't it? And working with others and cooperating. And if that's the sort of game that you're running, and the players understand that's what their focus is, rather than just killing monsters and taking their treasure, then that's probably a good outcome, eh? Certainly, I think it's. I've worked in the mental health and service sector for years. I think after the last job that I've had, I think it's time to get out. For me in New Zealand, the health sector is more. Well, unfortunately, it feels more like a corporation than it does feel like a service that's dealing with helping people. And yeah. It's left me a little bit sour about the whole thing, so I'm probably trying to go into retail myself. But those people who are still working in that field, if you're dealing with people who have issues, and the services, human services, mental health, corrections, it's hard work. It's not easy at all. I worked for Odyssey House and drug and alcohol rehab for 13 and a half years. Yeah, Aaron, you're right. Moral decisions and or social skills are what we are steering them towards. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know the concept of teaching soft skills, like how to deal with people without getting aggressive or violent or so forth. Those are really important things for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. They're good skills to have. Not taking the most primitive technique for dealing with your problems first. Talking with people first, going through processes. Alright, there's 3 tentacles. I've got a little bit of putty left, so I'll use that up. And we've got a good platform for the rest of it, which is thankfully great. Okay. I'm not even going to try tackling near the tentacles. I feel like those tentacles are going to get bent a little bit, just to make it easier for me to get at them. I really like the idea of Dungeons and Dragons being played in schools. And my reasoning for it, for those of you who are not completely aware why I actually started Dungeons and Dragons How to D&D. Okay, so I was doing workshops. I took up Dungeons and Dragons because I didn't really have that many friends who I thought were close. I was doing tabletop wargaming, and you don't really form friendships in tabletop wargaming that well. The friendships from playing Dungeons and Dragons and RPGs have lasted so much longer and have been a lot stronger, those relationships, and they've been broader, so you know we've done a lot more stuff, so that has been really good. But I started teaching people, or trying to teach people, Dungeons and Dragons 3.5e when it came out as a dungeon master, and then I found myself having to teach and train dungeon masters, which is quite weird because I was still in the process of figuring things out myself. But you just have to do it sometimes, because there's nobody else to do it. And I would do workshops in stores, and I'd go around the country in New Zealand, North Island mostly, and I would run little workshops, and it was only partly successful, and I realized that I was not getting the coverage that I needed for the effort and the time, you know, driving there and driving back, the time investment and setting things up. And so when I decided I'd had quite enough of the Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League and some of the decisions they were making, and they have improved since then, so that's good, I decided, well, actually YouTube is a much better way to actually get to a lot more people. And my goal has always been to get people away from playing computer games. You know, the kids playing computer games where they're in a room on their own, there's nobody else, there's no real social interaction, which is why most of my games revolve around playing face to face rather than over the internet. There's nothing wrong with playing over the internet Dungeons and Dragons using Skype and so forth, but I just feel like that's the thing I really wanted to encourage, was the teamwork, the cooperation, and getting to know people up close rather than via the internet, which is quite strange because I'm using like Facebook, and I was using Facebook and YouTube to do something like that. Before that, I wouldn't have touched social media. Yeah, I would have been just like Mel was saying, look, I don't want anybody to see my photo or know about me on Facebook. Thank you very much. I want to keep my details safe. I don't really want people spying on me. I don't want my information being shared to a whole lot of people I don't really know who want to sell stuff to me. So I totally understand that. Oh, I missed the conversation a little bit here. Joseph's got here, yeah, right, D&D is good for social skills, yep. Mel, how do you explain a natural one critical failure to people with poor impulse control? Answer carefully. I love it. Nice one, Mel. What else we got here? Joseph, accidentally put in right. Okay, alright, I got it. I think I got it figured out. Okay. Okay. It doesn't matter. We understand. It's all cool. It's not an issue at all. Okay, Aaron, you don't have to use critical failure. I use it as a non-success. They trip or their fingers slip on the weapon after fighting so long, or under stress they misjudge something. Yeah, I mean, a critical fumble or failure can be described in many different ways. I don't really do that for the players. I try to keep critical fumbles and failures for something I would do with my monsters or NPCs. It's entertaining for the players, and it's a deliberate method that I use for getting rid of my monsters when I feel like the fight's almost over. It's just a matter of time now, and we can just get through this. Often if I feel like a fight is all but done, the monster will just die. They don't know how many hit points it's got. I do, so that's fine. What's that, Aaron? Heard something recently about playing an RPG in real person triggers the part of your brain and creates memories as if it was something that really happened, like actually memories slip. Yeah. Look, I don't know. I think I don't know that that's. I would like to see the error rate on a study like that. To be fair, I think that a lot of research, and I've got a mathematics background, is extremely dubious and poorly conducted. And one study that says something means nothing until it's been done and duplicated multiple times, which is actually very difficult because the humanities are not very good. They are terrible when it comes to doing any kind of research. They just don't understand how to conduct proper research, unfortunately, and most of their studies need to be longitudinal, over a long period of time, and they need to be with somebody other than university students. Okay, university students are not the norm. Okay. Well, oh, fiddly. But I'm almost there. Almost got this little tentacle done. Oops. Yep, it's just now steamy now. It stopped raining, we've lost the wind, and it's wet, and now it's just going to be muggy for the rest of the day. Great. Awesome. Really looking forward to that. Being sarcastic, by the way. Humidity is not my favourite, but I don't like being cold either. Okay. Alright, cool. I feel like that is good progress for now. So for those of you who haven't been here, I'll just do a big quick spin. So we've got the front one done. This one, which was so much easier to do. This is about halfway done. I've got two more. These will probably be the worst ones for me to deal with. This one's mostly done as well, which is good news. So it's just the back end, which is going to be just dynamite. I can just see it now. But we'll get it done. It'll happen. Alright, so I'm going to jump off for a little while, go get use a toilet, have some food, come back in about half an hour, and try to finish off the rest of the tentacles. So for those of you who want to hang around. Oh, Joseph, what do you got here, Joseph? Are you going to paint the miniatures? Yep, just when the weather gets a bit cooler and the paint will dry properly. Right now the humidity is just too high. So all this stuff will get painted eventually. So, yep. Alright, so you guys go and do something else. Sleep, eat, do something else, and I will be back in, like I said, about half an hour or so. Oh, Mel, what's this? Some of my exploits in games are in solid in my memory, and even many years later not like I think it's real. Did things, but the memories are defeating monsters and overcoming obstacles, and they're pretty clear. Yeah, look, you know, these are memorable things. People remember them, and I understand that. I've got lots of stories like that myself, and maybe we'll talk about that when I get back. But I'm going to go and have some food, so I'll be back in a little while. Okay, so yeah, I'll do a quick ending. Look, if you found this video helpful or informative, please share, like, and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. There's a bell button beside the subscribe button on my channel. And to be fair, I will be back very shortly, so you will be seeing the rest of this process taking place. If you have questions, you can ask them in the chat when I get back, or put them down in the comments when the video goes live and is republished by, or not live, gets published by YouTube. And if you want to support my channel, watch my videos. I've got affiliate links down in the description. All the materials I used for this particular build are down in the description. And yeah, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.